If you want super happy real estate clients that give you raving 5-star reviews after every single transaction, you've got to be using a real estate transaction checklist like the ones I'm going to show you and give you today. Let's jump into it. Hey again, it's Charlie Cameron. I'm a real estate investor, real estate agent, and a global team leader on a mission to help real estate agents everywhere grow their business exponentially and achieve financial freedom along the way. One of the ways we can grow our business is by nailing transactions so that we get referrals from past clients and 5-star reviews that generate more clients and we can use in our marketing. So how do we do that? Yes, you could hire a transaction coordinator, and it certainly gets more difficult to manage transactions on your own after you have multiple in escrow at once. But you still need to be double checking that transaction coordinators work, and you could use these checklists with your TC to achieve the perfect transaction. There are, for both the buyer side transaction and the listing, about 20 steps that are common everywhere. And I've listed those in these checklists. So if you miss one of those steps, everything can go sideways really fast in a transaction. I don't want that for you. To over-deliver for your clients, you have to be not only hitting every step, but doing it early so that you can overcome any issues along the way. I mean, ultimately, anybody can write a contract, anybody can make an offer, anybody can show houses, but where the money is made in transactions is being able to solve problems. And the way you do that is by nailing the entire process for your clients and solving these issues that come up with each one of these that could come up along the way and ahead of time, way ahead of closing. So you want to shelter your client from problems as much as possible, and this checklist allows you to do that. So this checklist I'm going to show you, it's got 4 different tabs to it. I did this in Google Sheets to make it accessible for everyone because I didn't know if people would have Excel. I didn't want to just have a downloadable single sheet, because it's kind of important to have a multi-tracker as well. So what this allows you to do is track your buyer transactions, all of them on one page, and where they are and what steps are remaining, as well as single sheet printouts of a buyer transaction that you can keep with you, attached to an MLS sheet, and kind of have that paper copy that you can write out. Same thing on the listing side, except the steps are slightly different. It's about just as many steps, but you'll see that the steps, of course, are different. And then I do have another tab on there where I go through descriptions of every single step and exactly what they mean in case you're confused about, well, what is that? What is this? And to be fair, some of these may be different in different states and the ordering might be slightly different, but in general, these are the steps and these are the orders. Now, before I show you how to use it, you can download it with this QR code. You can use the link below. And now let's walk through the checklist itself. Okay, let's talk about how to use our real estate transaction checklist templates. So in this spreadsheet, there's 4 total templates. It's 2 printable buyer and seller and 2 multi-transaction trackers with the full checklist in those 2. So let's step through these real quick. Once we look at the 2 buyer ones, the seller ones are going to basically be the same, except the steps are totally different. Some similar steps, but not always, right? It's kind of a different feel to it based on buyer versus seller. So here is the buyer single transaction checklist. You can see here what you can do with it is you can change out these graphics. It's easily printable. So to print these printable versions, you just go to print, and they are set up to be 8.5 by 11 friendly. Okay, so you can print this off, take it with you, add it to a transaction binder if you got one. I do basically everything digitally. So I probably personally wouldn't use this too much, though. If you're more of a pen and paper kind of person that likes to print it off and have it in front of you on your desk, and you have one for each transaction with like maybe the listing printout underneath, that works great too. So whatever works best for you is totally fine. I totally get why this would be a useful tool to have, which is why we created it. Got feedback from my team, and they said we want it. So here you go. You simply enter in the buyer's name, the home address, the contract date and closing date, the inspection period, length, and financing period, and then these 2 gray boxes will automatically fill. So if you're like, how many days on the calendar do I? You're doing like the meme with the math in your head thing. Just put the length of the periods in here, and it'll plop out the dates over here. Okay, and then the checklist goes like this. It moves down this way, and then you start over here. Boop, 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 boop. Right, and then so this is for buyers. I've left 2 boxes down here for kind of general transaction notes. Whatever you need to write in there, to keep track of, as well as repairs to track. So you can kind of list those repairs so you know which ones to go back and look for instead of trying to keep it in your noggin, which might work for one transaction, but it certainly won't work for 4+ at a time, okay? Now, the seller sheet, very similar. It's basically the same thing, but our steps are different, right? Because now we're talking about a sale. On the buyer side, this is really only once you get under contract are the steps. But on the seller side, there's basically listing prep, and once you go under contract, things start to happen down here. So that differentiation is right here. If you're unclear on that, you can go over to the multi-step, and it'll show you exactly where the transactions occur. Now let's jump over to those. So this is meant to be, so this whole thing is one Google Sheet that you can open as a Google Sheet. You can download into Excel. I set it up to be printable from a Google Sheet for those 2 printable pages. So you might have to kind of do a little bit of shifting of things in Excel to make sure that it's still printable there. But I'm not sure why that weird line shows up. But anyway, this top line is meant to be a copy and paste. You put your address information, closing information, and your key dates kind of here. And then as you scroll, this information will stay put, so you know which one you're looking at. Same thing if you scroll down. If you had a lot of transactions, you would be able to still see where you're looking. So I've freezed those panes appropriately. And now you can just check boxes off, right? So this top line is meant to be copy and paste. So if you want to have another transaction here, you simply copy it, you go to the next line, and you paste it, Control-C, Control-V, and now you type in your 1, 2, 1, 3, whatever way, right? So now we've got a new transaction that we can fill out. This formula will copy paste. And so as you go through, you can say, okay, key info sent out, earnest money deposit has been received by title, my initial docs have been filed, the financing has been started by my buyer, the inspection has been scheduled by me or my buyer, right? Until you get all the way to the end, including some bonus stuff like, hey, make sure you have a closing gift. If you want to get a great review, make sure you have a closing gift. Go watch my videos on that. I've also got links to them in here. And then closing, final docs filed, because you can't actually forget about that. Review request, right? You want to make sure you get that. And so the same thing is over here on the seller side. It's just different items up here. It shows you exactly when you go under contract in this stepwise list. Now, you're not necessarily having to do one thing before the other. Some things will get mixed around. That's totally okay. You can coordinate the survey earlier if you know you don't have one. It's a short timeline. You might want to coordinate the inspection, or you might want to coordinate an appraisal earlier. Well, it's up to the buyer to kind of do that, but ensure that it happens earlier. You might want to coordinate or negotiate repairs at a different time, right? So this is just a general flow based on the transactions I've done over the past 4 years or so. And then there's descriptions on this tab, which I think is kind of nice. So my team said, hey, we want descriptions of every single thing. So here you go. I went through and I wrote a 1 to 2 sentence description of what each thing is, so you know exactly what I'm talking about for each of these steps on these 4 sheets. I hope my downloadable real estate transaction checklist was helpful to you. And if you're looking for a real estate team that provides tools like this, that provides daily coaching, mentoring, masterminds, tools, courses, and more for your success to help you grow your business and achieve financial freedom along the way, be sure to go check out agentwealthhustle.com and schedule a call with us. We'd love to hear from you. We'd love to see if partnering with you is going to help you succeed. By the way, it's free. And we're at eXp Realty, crushing it out there, and we would love to collaborate with you as well. Cheers. Have a great day.